That you will find surprising because a lot of young people realize this is this great big yellow bulldozer company. But as Crystal and I would like to share with you today, there's absolutely more going on than just great big yellow bulldozers. And so, what I'd like to do is, if I can go over here and figure out get how to get my screen back open, I want to share with you what is going on in our organization. You will do so on the screen. Yes. Right. Let's get here. Let's get here. And then hopefully everyone can now see this. Um, so, all right. Luis, can you confirm that you can see that?
Yes, let me go ahead and there we go. We can see you now.
Okay.
You want to share try sharing your screen? There's the share button at the bottom.
Well, let's see here. I need to get here and open that back up. Share. Why is it not going in here? All right.
There you go. We can see it.
Perfect. Before we actually get started, we typically go through a safety moment before every meeting. And what we want to do is this is very commonplace for every meeting that we have here within Holt, whether or not we're in person or we have a large group that is online. And so we want to make sure that all the people that are in attendance are safety based. First of all, typically in our meeting, we ask for folks in our team that are CPR or first aid trained, and we get a volunteer. We also select a person that could contact 911 in the event of an emergency. So we typically ask for volunteers. We always plan the emergency exit. We always plan for whatever route it is and a muster point, but that will dictate where you're at within your organization or on your particular campus. And one of the biggest things is that we try to share with individuals that in the case of a fire, we are not trained to be firefighters, but the biggest, most important thing is where's the fire extinguishers that can help aid us getting to a fire exit. And then once we do exit the facility, where do you meet at? Same thing in the case of a storm. Obviously, and throughout our organization, we've had severe weather roll in, and we also try to advance those tapes. Hopefully today that we don't have any storms, and let's hope that we don't have any fires. But one thing that I would make sure of, wherever you're at today, if you're in a classroom setting, you're in your home setting, please be aware of trip hazards. In the case of that you have an emergency and you have to exit wherever you're at, please be aware of any safety. Crystal, is there anything that you'd like to add to our safety briefing? Okay, let's see if we can move on to the next slide. Okay. All right. Well, what we're going to do is real quickly, we're going to discuss some of the our mission and values and vision for the Holt Group. And just to clarify, just like you can see over my shoulder here, there's this large piece of Caterpillar equipment sitting behind me. And myself and Crystal and other members of our team, we do work for Holt Caterpillar. However, we also have our other organizations that I'll outline momentarily, say like our truck centers and our crane group and our manufacturing. And it was a little odd that if I was asking somebody in the truck group about a particular technician and it came from an email that had Holt Cat, sometimes that would be confusing. So we put several divisions, human resources, and others that related to all businesses under the title called Holt Group. And so I kind of wanted to clear that up. But here at Holt Group, we have a vision that we're a very successful company that provides superior products and services that satisfy customer needs. We definitely maintain a high level of ethics, teamwork, and professionalism while we demonstrate a caring attitude toward our employees and our customers. There's an old saying that customers are always right, and we work every opportunity to make sure that we keep our customer priority first. But while we do that, we want to make sure that we maintain our values. That it means our ethical values. By doing the right thing. We want to be successful by consistently achieving targeted goals. We routinely meet and we outline our goals and we make them very, very specific. We try not to leave them very broad. We make them very specific goals. That way you can measure them, and you can't measure something if you don't monitor it, but you can't monitor it if you can't measure it as well. We also want to demonstrate excellence by continually getting better. If you think about this big yellow iron that's sitting behind me in this photograph, we started building this in the late 1890s, but as technology has improved and the workload has increased, we have to get better every single day at what we do. And so that's a constant um, challenge for us, is to improve. But we think we are doing that, and we are developing superior skills and abilities. We also want to dedicate some commitment because we're definitely here to stay. We are celebrating 100 years within Caterpillar this year. We're very excited about that. And you don't get to be a company that's 100 years old without demonstrating a caring attitude for your employees and your customers. And also, we're trying to be very, very dynamic. And that means we're always looking at strategic opportunities, and that has led to the continual growth of our organization. We're definitely being creative and we initiate change. And you can see that we have a vision statement uh, that, you know, we we are recognized for leadership in our industry by those who we serve. And I think that's the biggest thing in our vision, is to make sure that people know that we are a customer driven organization. Um, a little bit of the history. There's a photograph here of Benjamin Holt. The Holt family business goes way back to the 1880s in Southern California. In 1904, Benjamin Holt developed the first successful track type tractor, which he called a Caterpillar. And this is confusing to some people, but here's an example. If you think about Chevrolet Corvette, Chevrolet was the manufacturer and the model was Corvette. Prior to the night in before 1926, these were called Holt Caterpillars. Okay. And then in 1926, they bought another company, and they merged and they become the Caterpillar Corporation. And then from then on, everything has been Caterpillar by brand. Currently, the owners of our company that Crystal and I work for, Peter, John, and Corinna, and they are direct descendants of the gentleman that gets credit for inventing the Caterpillar tractor. So we're a family-owned business, and we're very proud of the fact that we're direct ownership is direct descendants of the man that invented the tractor. In 1925, as I mentioned earlier, the Holt Manufacturing Company merged with a longtime competitor, Best Company, and they formed the Caterpillar Tractor Company. CEO Best was doing a great job manufacturing part of the tractor, and when they merged, they become the Caterpillar Tractor Company. In 1933, um, Benjamin Holt's second son, William or Bill, was authorized as a Caterpillar dealer for 60 southern counties of Texas. And in 2002, we bought out Dar Equipment, cat dealer for Central Texas, East and North Texas. Today, our dealership is known as Holt Cat and its affiliates company. And I believe we probably have a slide here that shows that Holt Cat is the largest Caterpillar dealer in the United States. And I think this slide is very powerful because it shows the different entities that now Holt Group covers. As you can see at the top left is our Holt Cat. We're involved in sales, service, parts, rental. And then if you look at Texas First Rentals, we're also involved in sales, but we're all majorly, we're primarily involved in rental. And what the easiest way to explain that is, let's say you have a project. You needed to build you want to build a pond or a lake at your house. Well, you don't have the resource, you don't need to go buy, let's say, $1 million piece of equipment, but you need it for a week. You can go rent that. And as we talk about our companies in a few moments and how this expands, there's about 7 different careers that are tied to the rental store just to get a piece of equipment from point A to point B. And we'll highlight that some more in a minute. Holt Truck Centers. I have a slide that we'll share with you in a minute about that. We are involved in sales, service, and parts. And you can look through everything that we're involved in manufacturing. You look at the Holt Crane and Equipment, Holt Renewables, Holt Industrial Systems, Site Tech, and even Holt Aerial. And so these are a lot of the different verticals that we have within the Holt group. And these opportunities seem like they grow continuously. I know Crystal and I work continuously trying to find employment, new talent that can join on our team. Here is a portfolio that is kind of by our industry. It kind of helps you fit in a better category. If you're talking about construction and manufacturing, you can see all of the entities that align with construction, whether it be Holt Cat, the rental, manufacturing, crane, and site tech. We provide sales, rental, service, and parts. And we provide sales, rental, service, and parts in most of our divisions, except for some of the training and the technology side to your far right, which is our Holt Development Services, Pro Tech, which is our internal training division, and even Site Tech. But if you look at commercial and industrial, obviously Holt Industrial Systems, I'm sorry, and in Holt Industrial Rentals. Transportation, Holt Truck Centers is the biggest as we relate to transportation, and we will discuss that momentarily. Same thing in the energy sector, Holt Cat Renewables and Holt Aerial. And so we have lots of different verticals that we're going to discuss today, and how the different verticals provide opportunities for employment. We're going to start here with Holt Cat. And if you'll notice everything in the gold color, this is Holt Cat territory. And the amazing part is that even though we only include 118 counties within Texas, that still satisfies the largest cat dealer by volume and sales in America. It's pretty amazing that that small of a territory has that much impact on the industry. It was established in 1933, and the first office was down in San Antonio. We are responsible for sales, rentals, parts, and service of all Caterpillar machines and engines. And like I said earlier, we include 118 counties in the state of Texas. We cover approximately 105,000 square miles, which a lot of you young people that are in attendance today may be. And you can look in this chart, and you can say, "Hey, I might live close to there." But let's just say that if you look at the map to the bottom right hand, that is gray. That is our friends at Mustang Caterpillar. They're based basically out of Houston, and everything to the west of us is Warren Caterpillar. Now, they are also Cat dealerships, and they also sell Cat equipment. And so, if you happen to live in one of those areas, feel free to reach out to anybody on this call, and we can put you in contact with recruiters in those particular areas, because once again, they are friends in the CAT organization. Currently, we have 26 Holt Cat locations through Central, South, North, and Northeast Texas. What we commonly refer to is it's the I-35 corridor that travels from South Texas all the way to DFW to the Oklahoma state line, and then it turns east in Dallas and runs out to East Texas towards Texarkana. So for myself and Crystal, we spend a lot of time in vehicles traveling this territory, looking for young talent. Now, the same map that covered Texas, I mean, that covered Holt Caterpillar is the same region for Texas First Rentals. We were established in 2014, and we were responsible for cat and allied equipment rentals. Also cover the same 118 counties. And currently we have 40 plus Texas First rental locations, and you can see them throughout the map, and they are indicated by the red dots. And as I travel throughout the state, and I talk to as I talk to students about different jobs. For example, let's say that you were renting a piece of equipment. Well, there's a lot of people involved in getting that piece of equipment secured, the invoice covered, and transported and taken out to the particular location. And we've talked about it earlier. Here's some things that, if you have if bilingual is a skill that you possess, that makes you highly sought after, so we can remove some of those language barriers. Obviously it's not a requirement, but man, does it come in helpful if we run into a language barrier. So our Texas First Rentals is continuing to grow, and it's one of our fastest growing entities within the Holt Group. Here is our Holt Truck Centers. We service all makes and models. However, we sell primarily international trucks. Um, in Oklahoma, international I Bus and Isuzu are full service on highway truck dealers. Formerly, they were the Summit Group up in Oklahoma. Um, and in Texas, we currently have 7 locations, and there's been a merger, kind of a gathering of these Holt Truck Centers. We've done some recent acquisitions of another organization, and I think we're getting close to 40 of overall truck divisions. And the career opportunities on the transportation sector are absolutely enormous. Some have requirements that are based on your type of driver's license that you have. But some of our technician roles and parts and sales do not have those particular requirements. But as you can tell, Texas and Oklahoma, there's lots and lots of trucks running up and down the interstate, and we support that industry, and we're very, very active in that industry. Now, this is our Holt Truck Centers. Now that this shows, and this is kind of broken down with our recent acquisition. If you look at what we call Holt Truck Centers, these are our legacy stores that fell under the Holt Truck Center logo. You can see them in San Antonio, Houston, Irving, Edinburgh, Pflugerville, Waco, Fort Worth, and even Longview. And now our international dealers, you can see that primarily in Oklahoma, with the addition of Wichita Falls and the Tyler region. And these are the latest stores that we have just purchased. They were called the Kairos Truck Centers, and you can see they're primarily from Austin south. On each of these positions that are, recognized by the gray, the gray dots, each of these organizations, each of these locations have opportunities for young talent, whether or not it's technicians, whether or not it's sales, whether or not it's customer service, IT folks. It's every single one of these locations has its own unique challenges, and has its own workforce that we have to provide for. Okay. Here's some other Holt brand business units. If you look at Holt Manufacturing, it's actually in the Waco area. We're responsible for building several pieces of equipment. We build specialized customer requested special one-off items. We also build a Spray King, which is a vehicle that is used in construction that contains 5,000-gallon water trucks that they drag up and down the construction site to help prevent erosion, whether or not it's wind erosion and other things. And recently at Holt Manufacturing, they've been responsible for building enclosures for very large, what we call EPG units or electrical power generation units. I'm willing to bet that you can drive by, if you have a data collection facility in your community, drive around the building, you will probably find a great big generator sitting behind the building. Because imagine today that if the internet went down, one, this conversation and this meeting could not happen. Imagine if if Facebook, Meta, and other things was to lose power, these things would all go offline. And so, in the data collection world, there has to be 24-hour readily available service. And so that's one of the big things that we're building right now at Holt Manufacturing is enclosures for these big power units, and we literally send them all over the world. If you look at Holt Crane and Equipment, we actually have 3 locations for Holt Crane. Holt Renewables, we just have the one location. Holt Industrial Systems are 3 locations. Site Tech is 2 locations. One is actually in Grand Prairie. The other one's down in San Antonio. And Holt Aerial is a very interesting part of our team. Wherever the community that you're currently at, more than likely you've seen a service truck come by your neighborhood after a storm and they had to repair something at the top of a power pole. Typically a technician gets in a bucket and this crane lifts them up on top of this power pole. Well, we kind of have the coolest service truck there is because our service trucks can take the technician some 300 feet off the ground. That's the length of a football field. And that's pretty amazing. We actually call it flying a technician, and several of our team members have had an opportunity to be in a basket and get 300 feet up in the air. In order to do that job, you can't be scared of heights, and so that's one of the major challenges that come to Holt Aerial. A few moments ago, Crystal and I were looking through our current job openings throughout our organization, and I believe I came up with a number. It was 239, 239 current job openings under the Holt umbrella. And this pie chart shows you where the most of these jobs, or where all of these jobs are listed. Okay. As you can tell, 41% of the current job openings are technical. For example, that would be technicians, welders, diesel technicians, and so forth. But as you can tell, we have everything from laborer, basic others, to professional jobs, outside sales, clerical, inside sales, truck driving, mid manager, supervisor level, and even upper level managers. But this kind of gives you a breakdown of where those 242 jobs are currently opening. And so as you plan for a career, here's just kind of a real brief overview of what does the industry look like today. Okay, well, I want to be a professional. Okay, well, right now, 10% of our job openings right now are in that arena. Okay. Sales, whether or not it's inside or outside, you're looking at about 15% of all of the needs in the industry right now relate to sales. And the same thing, if you look at the technician side, is over 40%. And of the 242 job postings I looked up a moment ago, 98 of the current job openings we have are related to technical. And so, I know there may be some young people on this call, and we can get to questions in a little bit that deal with this. Um, the technical training is now very, very in great demand. I'll go back and quote Mike Rowe, a TV star and on reality TV, and he stated the biggest push is because the skilled workforce, typically your mom, dad, aunt, uncle, and grandparents, are aging and retiring. And so that is putting a huge need for young people, young talent that have technical skills. And that's a wide array. And those technical skills are changing. For example, today, Crystal and I was on a phone talking about needing technicians that can work on electrical power generation systems. And currently, we are leading the industry with now making a training program for people that can work on that, because there is a power side of it where there's engines that are running, and there's a generator that's making electricity. And the easiest way to put that in common terms is think about a train that's running up and down the track. You see black smoke pouring out of this train. Well, the black smoke is the engine that is powering the generator, and the generator is creating the electricity that is actually running the train. And so that is really the easiest way to explain that. And so this technical field is changing by the day. 30 years ago, we didn't need technicians that could service lift trucks that could lift 300 feet off the ground. Today, we do, just simply because the industry is evolving. Um, and so there's some things that we would like to share with you, and we call these my takeaways. Um, it's very important that you live the values. All right. If you look at the values, if you can lead, by these values, they will lead you in making right choices. And believe it or not, in my line of work in securing new talent, we have to follow these are the values that guide us every day. And when I go out and I talk to a potential new employee, I say, does this person align with our values? And we have to prove that that person can align with our values in order for them to be what we call a good culture fit. Okay. We invest lots and lots of time in building positive relationships. This is a very fast paced industry. There's a lot of demands on your time, but it's easier once you have positive relationships with your colleagues. You have a respect for the leadership and the ownership. There's always a way to get better. Um, it's okay to ask questions. I know wherever you're going to school, you've probably been told that the only dumb question is the one that you don't ask. And we always tell people, look, ask a question. All right. It's okay not to know. Just feel free to ask, because if you don't, sometimes your manager may not know that you don't have an answer to something if you don't ask. So, contrary to some of the beliefs, and some of the actions, you got to step out of that every now and then. You have to be able to ask questions, because if you ask questions, then you'll have that firsthand answer to that particular question. I believe, yeah, I believe that that is the end of that presentation. I'm going to jump here now. Let me open this back up. I am going to, I guess we're at the point now where I can stop sharing the screen and get into questions. All right.
Right.
All
We'll go
right.
ahead and take questions if you want to put that in the chat. And if there's anything else,
Okay.
Rick or Crystal, that you have also for the students, whether it's opportunities or
Okay.
internships or anything that the students can apply to, start now, right? I know that there's summer programs and spring programs that companies have, such as Holt. So, students, if y'all have any questions, go ahead and type it in the Q&A, and then we'll read out some of the questions that are answered. I mean, that are asked. Sorry.
Okay.
Hi, students. I was able to get on. Sorry, a little late, but I didn't want to interrupt you, Rick.
No, no,
But
no, thanks for
thanks so
jumping on,
much.
Crystal.
Yeah, thanks for being here with us for today. We do have a variety of opportunities, especially for entry level roles into Holt. There's internships. We also offer, if you're about to graduate, some entry level roles if you want to work with your hands versus wanting to work with a computer. We have positions in parts warehouse We have inventory. We have wash rack techs that can start, like if you just want to find somewhere and learn the business, we definitely have those positions for you. Any of our positions that are available currently are on our main website. It's holtgrp.com. So you can look on that website anywhere you are in the state. You can type in your zip code and see what the closest openings are towards you. Most of our entry level roles will literally have a number one on it. So when you're searching for positions and you type in the number one and your zip code, that's usually the easiest way to search. Sometimes we leave off the number one, so go ahead and do a full search as well. But if you guys ever have any questions about wanting to start a career at Holt, let us know. Somebody had a question about an engineering position. I don't know if it was a question or not, but we do have a few engineering teams if anybody's interested in pursuing that career field. We hire both electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, and civil engineers, as well as a couple of industrial engineers as well. So we do have pathways into Holt for engineering students. So it really just depends what kind of pathway you'd like. Starting with the first question, is Holtcat also an NRG stadium? That's in Houston, so that would be outside of Holtcat territory. In Houston, we have the Holt Truck Centers territory and Holt Industrial Systems. So if you see yellow iron out there, that would be Mustang Cat territory. But great question.
Yep.
And then another student says they live 32 minutes away from Holtcat in San Antonio. That's great. We also have several locations around San Antonio. Our headquarters is actually in San Antonio, Texas. So we operate 13 companies out of this location. So lots of opportunity that spans through HR, finance, sales, marketing, IT. So there's lots of opportunities from there. And our internships really span all throughout all of those departments. So it doesn't always have to just be diesel technology or warehousing or anything like that. So if you have other aspirations, let us know. Do you want to take the next
Well, I was going to say,
question?
Crystal, to that point exactly. I know that, talking about the diversity and the types of jobs that you have. I know that Crystal and I recently prepared some information to deliver it to our bosses and our managers. That 12 years ago, when we started doing our very first intern program, we were only looking at machine service, and as of recently, we have 41 different organizations within our company that are utilizing interns and apprentices. And so, it might surprise you to say, "Hey, I'm a student in a marketing program, and I'm really interested in marketing." Well, everything that you see behind me on this big sign is marketing. Everything that has ink on it at all is a marketing plan, whether or not it's hats and shirts and so forth. And a lot of times people don't see that as a job opportunity. And I think here's kind of the way I like to share this, because Crystal and I run up and down the interstate. We talk to young talent all the time. Last year, without getting specific, we were somewhere in over $2.5 billion in total sales. And we're a big yellow bulldozer company. But our largest customer last year was data collection facilities. And our number one customer was Meta, which is Facebook and Microsoft, and people really can't typically understand, how does Microsoft and Meta tie to a big yellow bulldozer company. That just shows how diversified that our company really is. And so, we've been lucky enough to work in this organization long enough to see going from just diesel mechanics now to sales and marketing and IT. And we have a lot of leaders in our organization now that started very young in their life and young in their career, that have evolved forward. And so, let's see, I'll look at next couple of questions here. What summer programs are there? I know in a lot of our dealerships, we offer summer internships, and I will say this about our internships: every internship that is provided is a paid internship. Currently, I'm not aware of any internship in our organization that is not a is a paid opportunity. Our owners, Peter and Corinna Holt, that we mentioned earlier, they're very, very adamant about that. If you're coming to our organization and you're providing a service, even as an entry level employee and learning, you are still, you should be paid for your efforts. And so, depending on your location, Crystal and I, we kind of split up the state and we try to, address the folks that are closest to us. I live north of DFW. Crystal's in the San Antonio market. And so if you can hear us, obviously follow up with this and we can find out what kind of programs are available. Um, this student says, can you recap? I was doing dishes. Hey, I understand. I appreciate that. Let's see. Let's see.
There's a question about a sales internship. So we do
Okay, there we go.
have internships for both college students and high school students. Currently, our sales internships is just for college students.
Okay.
That one is open to junior level college students as well.
And
It's a lot of math. It's a lot of uh, going onto properties that you would need to be an adult for. So you definitely have to be at least 19, 20 for that access to those properties as as a safety measure. So unfortunately, we can't take high school students in that environment.
And the very next question in the chat from Darian, it said, "What kind of internships are available for computers?" They're in basically the facility that's right next door to Crystal. The photograph behind her, we have high school interns that work in our IT department. We have some 5,000 employees, and every single employee has a computer, and most of us have a phone that we use for work. And just networking these folks together is drastically important. And ironically, the head of IT in San Antonio worked his way through high school as an intern and through college as an intern, and now he heads up the department. So there are definitely internships available related to computer. There's a help desk because there's guys like me that are not real good on the computers, and I have to call and say, "Hey, how can you help me unlock my computer?" And so there are numerous opportunities, and they are open to both high school and college both. I see Jose says, how old do you have to be to apply? That particular question would be specific to the role. For example, if you wanted to be an over-the-road truck driver, you would have to have a Class A CDL, which unless you had a program in school that you're able to get your CDL before you were 21, most of the time that's a 21 old version. However, we have high school students that typically start in their junior year. So typically that's that 16, late 16, early 17 range. I can't recall of anybody having anybody younger than that, but each role is basically the age would be dictated by the particular role itself.
Good question.
Okay.
Is driving like trucking? Yes, we have a large driving team, driver team that usually would mean you would have to obtain a CDL license.
Yep.
So it's normally a CDL A or a CDL B, depending on what type of truck. We have positions like heavy haul or shuttle truck drivers. When you see a position like a shuttle truck driver or a box truck driver, those are typically more entry level, beginning level drivers. You still need to obtain that. In order to have a CDL, you have to be 18.
Right.
So definitely not an internship opportunity or anything like that. You can do ride-alongs, but truck driving is definitely 18 and up.
Right. And because the state and the federal government dictate that, and we as a company cannot regulate or dictate rules that supersede something that the federal government has stated. And so, we have to abide by all, local and state and federal guidelines. And over the road trucking is one of those deals. I see a question here: is architecture a part of this? And if you go back and you look at the map of all the places that we have, quote, we call rooftops. If you look at the picture right behind Crystal, there's definitely architecture involved. I personally, in our organization, not that I'm aware of, that we have architects in-house. If we were going to build that facility behind Crystal, then we typically reach out to a firm, an architecture firm, and they come in and design these facilities. Now, as far as maintenance facilities, absolutely. We have a full team of maintenance folks that keep these facilities elegant. They keep them clean. They keep them safe. Obviously, as we started this meeting, safety is a huge aspect of what we do. Now, like at many schools throughout the state of Texas, you have to badge in and out. And in our organization, to get in the front gate, you got to have a badge, because we want the people that have need to these properties to have access to that. And so there's a lot of maintenance and facilities that is involved. And ironically, in that building where Crystal is sitting in front of, I was actually in the elevator recently, and the elevator stopped right between the second and third floor. And I was so excited that we had a maintenance team on site that could come get me out of the elevator. And so the maintenance facility is that team is very, very crucial to what we do. And so, Crystal, would you want to take the next one?
Yes. So, what are some entry level jobs? That would be what I mentioned earlier, the parts warehouse clerk positions. We have wash rack tech positions in our Texas First Rentals locations. We have some admin positions. Currently, I have a warranty specialist position open. There's sales coordinator positions, yard operations associates, um, parts clerk cashiers, things like that, that we could potentially have some training involved. So definitely looking for somebody with a mechanical aptitude. Please, please,
Right.
please work on your resume. I know you guys are students, but if you're doing any special projects, if you work on things with your parents, you're building your own skills. If you're doing special projects in school right now, start tracking those and add those to your resume, because that's all relevant experience. It's not work experience, but it's still taking initiative, and it's still showing us who you are and what you've been working on with the time you've had.
And Crystal, I think that's a great place to point. When I said earlier, and Crystal and I are in front of students at the high school and the college level all the time. That's the world in which we live. And I typically ask young people in the audience if anybody is fluent bilingual, and there's always been some hesitation to reply yes or no. And I said, well, here's the deal. And I like to use the scenario of, I have a driver that takes a piece of equipment to a job site and delivers it to a customer. Okay. If either the driver or the customer is limited English speaking, there is a language barrier and the frustration builds. And so if you are a entry level employee and you are bilingual, you have already removed the biggest challenge that we have dealing with customers. And so if you are fluent bilingual, trilingual, whichever, make sure that is included in your resume, because that is something that we as an employer don't have a training for. All right, that's something that you could bring a skill to the table that we're already looking for. This summer I was able to present at a large conference with lots of young people there, and to what Crystal just mentioned, your attitude is very, very, very important. Okay. I even went so far to say that your attitude was more important than your aptitude, which means your attitude toward a job was more important than your ability to do that job, because we can train you to do the job if you have some of the key characteristics that we're always talking about. And we talk about, the values that we talked about earlier. And so we're always looking for new talent, and our organization continues to grow. And just like this Jose has stated, he said, I'd love to have a job with welding. On the facility there in San Antonio, we have a branch of our organization that's called CAT Support. And anything that has to be welded um, is falls through CAT Support. And so, Jose, that's definitely a possibility. And I think Crystal has some input on that as well.
Yeah, so we do take some internships with that division of our welding is very, very small unless you are out in Waco. We do have a whole manufacturing plant out there. We do typically partner. That's not something that you can just walk into. So we partner with schools or programs that are teaching welding. So typically out there, we partner with TSTC. If anybody's looking into going into technical schools, that's what we do. We also partner with technical schools all throughout Texas and a few beyond Texas, of course, into Oklahoma as well. So if anybody has questions on which schools we partner with, which programs, things like that, it's basically diesel technology is our top one, because we're always hiring for diesel technicians. Um, I hope we answered a lot of the questions in the chat. I saw a question about auto maintenance. It's not auto, it would be diesel. We do have a maintenance technician team that does a lot of the preventative maintenance on the machine. So if you see the machine right behind Rick, a lot of those are on construction sites. So that team will go out in the middle of the night and make sure those machines are ready for the next day. So they'll go take oil samples, change any fluids that need to be changed out, and make sure that machine's up and running for our customers the next day. So that's a service that we offer and that you can get into as well. And that team will train you on how to do that as well. You do need to be 18. So that is for the seniors that are on this call.
Crystal, I see a question here. It says, are there any internships for hands-on as a high school student in San Antonio, Texas? Absolutely. We have a large group of individuals in San Antonio and surrounding areas. I know, Crystal, that's kind of your backyard. You want to hit on that?
We typically open up the internships at the beginning of the semester. So if you are interested in an internship, we have a couple open right now. I do have a couple internships in San Antonio. There's a finance internship for high school. So if you're interested in the business side, and specifically in finance, it's for our accounts payable department. And then I also have one in our service side. We are looking for mechanical aptitude in that. So if you are a junior or even a senior, we will definitely take a look at that opportunity if you want to apply there as well.
I see a question that said, what's the nearest Holt to me? Without knowing exactly where you are at, because I can't see where you're at, the easiest thing would be to do is just to go to holtgrp.com. And when you open that up, it'll show you locations, and it'll show you every job that we have open, and it'll show you where that job is at. And our search engine is I think it's very interesting because it lets you search by two categories. What kind of job is it and where is it located? For example, let's say you live in Waco and you want to find a job in Waco. So you just simply go over to the where category, type in Waco, and it'll list every position that's available currently open in the city of Waco. Let's say you want to be more specific, like, hey, I want to be a welder and I want to be in Waco. So you could type in welder as under what and where Waco. And if there is a welding position open in Waco, it would tell you that. Okay. Or if you're pretty flexible, you're like, you know what? I like to travel. I want to do some things. I recently graduated high school. I'm ready to explore. And you typed in the word welder without a location, it would show you every welding job that's open throughout our territory. So there's several ways to look at this. You can look at what kind of job and where it's located. Okay, senior. Let's see. I'm in San Antonio. I see. Here's a question about internships in Houston. Uh, Now, maintenance, yes, as far as related to automotive, what I typically refer to is light duty versus heavy duty. We're considered a heavy duty industry, basically like this big yellow piece of iron behind me and over the road trucks. We don't currently, we have a fleet of pickups and Suburbans and sedans that we operate, but we do not currently service them at all. So if you're, like you're in an automotive program, we don't typically have positions in automotive. However, the transferable skills that you can get in automotive directly relate over to medium and heavy duty. For example, your electrical. And your electrical principles and batteries and voltage and routine maintenance is the kind of things that we're looking at. And that is very similar, whether or not it's automotive or heavy equipment, because engines, if you want to be an engine technician, you are going to be probably 5 to 7 years in your career before you start building engines. Some of the engines that we have in Caterpillar are anywhere from the 50 to $100,000 range, and they typically have very well trained technicians working on those. And so, um, let's see, what classes would be beneficial to take at a high school to start a career path? I think that is a very good question. Any class that you could take that is exploratory, whether or not it would be your automotive program, your diesel program, your manufacturing or welding program. I was an ag mechanics instructor for 30 years in the state of Texas. However, it's not only those classes. Your business classes come in very important. Your entrepreneur classes are good. Your IT, very, very important. Crystal, have you got any that you'd like to add to that as well?
Yes, so I know your school offers a variety of CTE programs, so look into that. Anything that you can do that is either mechanical or something that you're really passionate about. This is a time in your life where you can really try things and really spend time figuring out what you love to do. And that's what I really suggest you doing because this is the only time in your life where you can figure out who you want to be and what you want to work on. And of course, you can change it, but this is the time where you can figure it out and you have the time to use to figure it out. So look into those CTE programs that you have available. Um, but yes, so I know your um, leaders had posted it in the chat. So take a look at that, but that's definitely what we recommend. So last couple questions here. Um, any internships, we post them, like I said, on our website. I added the website in the chat. If you take a look at that, it's www.holtgroup.com/careers. So you can take a look on there for the what category, just type in intern and then type in your zip code and see what we have around you. Right now we don't have a lot because they fill up pretty quickly. So just have your resume ready whenever you are ready. I know we have some freshmen and some sophomores, different levels of students here. Rick just added his email in the chat if anybody has specific questions or would like to learn more after this session, please feel free to reach out to him
Yeah.
as well. And then any other
I see one that
last
says, do you have to have previous experience for that career to be able to learn in those? And I will tell you this, that, Crystal and I have been out recruiting young talent for more than 10 years now. Um, but there's some things that we look at, and obviously your attendance rate at school is very, very important. If you don't go to school, contrary to belief, you won't come to work. And we look at your attendance, and a lot of times when we go out to schools and we start interviewing young people, we ask for two things. We ask for your attendance and we ask for your academic basically your grades. Now, if I'm looking for a diesel technician, commonly I will see a young person that's very good in career and technology courses, what we call CTE. Uh, Occasionally I see a young person that may struggle in, let's see, English or history, government, or science, what we call the core classes, because the student would rather be in auto mechanics. Granted, I was that kid. I never thought algebra was ever going to come play into my life, ever. I was wrong, but it took me becoming into industry to realize how important that is. And so we really want to look at your academic success in the industry that you're going into. For example, I know there's been a couple of questions here today about marketing. All right. Well, if you're in marketing or you're into graphic design, and we look at your grades at school and you struggle in those classes while you're in school, is that a good indicator to us of your interest level in that industry? So, for example, if I'm looking at a young person that's interested in a welding career, I'm going to go look on their class and see if their transcript had they had any classes in welding, and if so, were they successful in those classes? And if you are, that is obviously something that could definitely help you. There is all kinds of online training out there that's available, whether or not it's automotive, marketing, computers. There's some online Caterpillar training that if you're interested on, you've now got my email address. Shoot me an email. I can provide that to you. And a lot of this training is free of charge, and it demonstrates your level of interest, and it shows us that your level of interest. And I go back to that, what I said earlier, your attitude towards this is far more important than your aptitude or your skill set. So I know we're getting close to the end of our time. Luis, have you got anything that we need to share with anything additional that you'd like to bring up before we close?
I just, first of all, I just want to say thank you so much, Rick and Crystal. Your this opportunity is so valuable for our students, and we just look forward to continuing to partner with you all and with Holt. And students, if you are interested in any of the opportunities that were discussed today, or you have further questions regarding internships, maybe even job shadowings, we are looking at other opportunities that we can participate in. So please email me first. I put my email in the chat. It's Obregon at tvahallsville.org. And then we'll send a list of names to Rick and Crystal. That way we don't send too many emails to their inbox. But again, thank you so much on behalf of us at Texas CNCP and the students here. We're appreciative. Thank you.
Well, it was my distinct
Thank
pleasure,
you.
and I know, Crystal. I apologize to Crystal. I went through our presentation pretty quick because we were having issues trying to both get logged on. But what an absolute pleasure for me to be here, and I look forward to students reaching out to myself. That's all I have, Crystal.
Thank you so much.